It's been picked multiple times for RR. It's not something RR is too uncomfy with, so I can see them hitting their timings and playing around that OD quite well.
Well, look, I agree with you on that sentiment. Like, I actually love the OD pick into this game. And, you know, it hasn't the greatest hero in this meta, but against these heroes that Boom picked up, the Timber, the Spectre, everything else for that matter, even the Void Spirit, right? Just having that Astral and lock him down for a little.
It's all coming together.
Once. It's going to be quite nice. Only time will tell. Because the game has started, John, at the start of the game we have. And are looking in the favor of Boom Esports, which isn't really quite surprising considering they were in the winners bracket yesterday.
Definitely. Like, in that sense, they do have a bit of an edge, but historically, RR did win group stages, so I think there's that to consider as well. Whether or not Boom has learned from their past engagements, there was a lot of time in between the last times they faced off. There is still a lot of potential there for Boom. I think in terms of momentum, they should be feeling better. I mean, they dropped down, sure, but that just lets them kind of reset. RR is, in that sense, on the edge. I mean, both of them are set for elimination, but Boom should be riding a bit higher here. So mentally, they should be feeling much more comfy because they've played a lot more recently.
We won't really see any small engagements coming out here from either side. They're just going to allow each other to take 2 bounty rooms. Very standard start, mate. I suppose you could make the argument neither side really has that kind of lineup that really wants to run at you prior to that minute mark. I mean, Boom kind of do with the Tusk, but what we've been seeing a lot is you usually wait for the Tusk to just kind of show up in lane and run a bit of a trialing to start with, and that's exactly what's happening. Hyde is already there on the Tusk. You'll have Kezcute there as well to have that follow-up damage with the tag team, and that makes it really easy to just secure a first blood before you TP back to the safe lane as the disruptor.
For sure. Like, as long as they get their setup right and manage to force RR into a forward position, they can definitely do some damage. The issue is RR is spacing quite nicely. They're playing around the opposite end of that tree line, so Kezcute's not going to be able to get that cast off.
Well, RR, you know, they've seen this before. I'm sure they're one of the teams that actually commit to doing this quite a lot. And they should know that Kezcute, who hasn't showed at the bot lane, is up here somewhere, just waiting for his opportunity. But this is going to be a bunch of wasted time here for Kezcute. And this is all time that Dreamercell on the Spectre really isn't having, you know, the greatest time farming, right? He's going to struggle for a while. In fact, they have lost creep equilibrium. It is going to go the way of RR. And they finally do end up TPing Kezcute down, who will try to regain that equilibrium in lane.
Yeah, they did get the combination off up top. Doesn't really do much. They had a salve. They couldn't really go for the kill. Way too close to the tier 1. So Boom, not successful with that early commitment, but you're not going to mind too much. You really do need to give Dreamercell that good laning start. Even if it's just basically a Spectre against Enigma, you're always going to be a range creep behind because of the Eidolons.
Of course, looking at that mid lane for a second, Alacrity and Makoto going at it together. Makoto has been really on fire during this Pro Series, and as you can tell, already is very far ahead in terms of CS. Currently sitting at 15-1, which is pretty exceptional when you consider Alacrity sitting at 8-1 on the OD. But it is really based on the fact that the Void Spirit has such a high amount of base damage that Alacrity, the only thing he can really rely on is using that Astral Imprisonment to try and stop him. But you can't do it so often at these earlier levels, so Makoto should still be able to grab the advantage.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the things with the OD now. His laning presence has kind of gotten shafted with how Astral Imprisonment is early on. Like, the range is atrocious, the damage is still decent, but it's just so hard to lane even against an enemy safe laner. You look at how much commitment it takes for Mikado to pop that Resonant Pulse. Not much. He can stand pretty far away. It casts really fast. There's no delay in the damage. It just means that the OD will kind of struggle along very early on here.
Oh, top lane, Hyde might be the first blood. Drew is going to slow him down, and Nuts will pick up the kill with the Shadow Poison. And looks like Hyde just got a bit too excited chasing down Nuts on that Shadow Demon and just wasn't able to really secure a kill.
Just overstretching just a touch can cost you, right? Like, the Timbersaw does take until, I'd say, level 4 when you can really pump out the damage with a level in Whirling Death. That's when the kill potential will skyrocket for Boom, but before then, Hyde is going to have to kind of play alone when trying to apply that harass. He's going to have to cop the hits that FBZ, well, he can tank, but isn't going to be copying. Because who hits a Timbersaw in lane?
Nobody, really. You don't want to, it just helps them out. Drew is starting to really suffer on this troll, and I mean, in comparison to Dreamer Cell, who should probably be suffering a little bit more on the Spectre, but he's been having a great old time. 20 last hits, 2 denies on that Spectre, and KYXY isn't really able to slow him down too much. He has got 12 denies on the Enigma, but considering how much more Drew's being shut down at the top lane, you're not really going to be upset about this if you are Boom.
Definitely not. Like, Dreamercell's just having a fantastic start, and for the most part, he has been left alone this lane. You're not seeing Keskut really dip in there. He's just going for these pulls, trying to find EXP from these camps. You do see Hustler keeping pace in that sense, trying to disrupt that, but this does favor our Spectre. We talk about the Spectre having a weak lane. It's not showing here because RR is just not investing in trying to be aggressive.
Perhaps RR just waiting for some more levels up on their heroes before they could really start to commit. Like, KYXY probably not really going to be able to do anything without the Black Hole up against that Spectre. I imagine once he does hit that level 6 mark, we'll see an immediate Black Hole come out if they do have another hero rotate. And even with the Spirit Breaker, like Hustler, he's got 1 point in charge, 1 point in the Greater Bash. It doesn't do anything to a Spectre. Like, he's almost level 5 now, and he's already sitting at 1000 HP.
It's you'd expect a bit more presence from the Spirit Breaker going up for the bashes. It does look like RR is just giving KYXY as much EXP as they can, so that he's maintaining laning presence without having to go to the jungle. We do tend to see a lot of it just focus on the jungle farm instead. That would literally give Dreamocell a free lane. So they'd rather maintain that presence, even if it just means his contribution is basically range creep denial with demonic conversion. That's all you can really ask for in this kind of matchup.
We'll see Hyde now starting to rotate on the Tusk. He is at that the level 3 point, so does have Snowball Shards and Tag Team available. They could definitely try and go into the OD. Bot lane Keskut, he's going to be in big trouble. Hustle does get a charge off, but KYXY was there to set up on the Enigma. And that'll be the second kill coming out for RR. So at least in terms of kill score in that slight net worth lead, they are looking decent.
They really are. You do see Hustler starting to take up the pace here with the charge, although it's a very slow move forward, and he has no backup from Kato, but might as well make use of that Arcane while he has it.
True. Of course, Makoto has the actual step, so there's no chance they're actually going to kill him off anyway. And we'll see Keskut come in, give him the bottle charges.
Oh, Black Hole.
Back down one. Black Hole coming up. KYXY tried to commit, but it looks like the Spectre is out of there. And well, you lose Hyde at least. Alacrity with the rotation on the OD. They get a support pickup, but they didn't really get the one they wanted, which was Dreamcell.
Yeah, you mentioned waiting for that level 6 to try to get the kill on the Spectre doesn't pay off this time for RR. You're still not going to be upset, Boom ID, right? The Boom Esports, they lose their support Tusk for their Spectre. They're fine. The Spectre shouldn't be having this much of a good time in lane. Shouldn't be living, in fact, with this kind of lineup from RR, but hey, as long as it's working out for Boom, they're not going to ask any questions.
That's the thing, right? Now you've got like 2.5, 3 minutes of no Black Hole. And as well as that, the Sanities was also committed by Alacrity, so you've got about 2 minutes of not having that. And without those skills, I don't actually believe they have the potential to kill Dreamcell at all. Unless they rotate 4 heroes down to try and get this kill, there's just no chance. Dreamcell's just too tanky. They're going to try. Hustler, he does cancel off the TP. Midnight Pulse will be dropped by KYXY. It means nothing. It's just clearing out that tree line, making sure Dreamcell doesn't have anywhere to hide if they do go for a future gank attempt.
just giving them a little bit more information. I mean, all that time they commit down bot, they lose their tier 1 up top to a Timbersaw. Like, that should not happen in any case. Like, yeah, level 6 Timbersaw is tanky. Shouldn't be allowed to push this hard, but RR is just not set to deal with this early wave clear, this massive wave FBZ's built up top.
He's going to find a secondary tower. They need to defend this right now. There's a siege creep available. Mid lane, looks like they are going to find Nuts at least in the Shadow Demon, so Makoto does claim that kill for himself. Goes invis. They are getting charged over Makoto. They're going to know exactly where he's moving. This could be, well, it could be an opportunity for RR, but they're not really going to have any heroes coming up. It looks like they're more than just satisfied to sack that top tier 2 tower. But if they lose that, they lose control over their jungle, basically, and that's going to be quite problematic.
That's a tier 2 at sub 10 minutes. That really shouldn't be happening here for RR. They are setting up for the defense, finally realizing that it's whittled away a bit too much, and Boom does have the foresight to pull out. So they're not going to find anything for their trouble.
They might go bot lane. Boom, they TP 2 down. Not quite able to find anybody in. We did see Hyde. He's currently getting charged, but I imagine that is only just to give vision. In fact, there is going to be a rotation here from the OD. Hustler still charging in very slowly but surely. Snowball dodge is very easy for Hyde. Do you turn this? I don't think you do. Alacrity's there, he has the sanities, and you have Black Hole up in about 18 seconds. FBZ, he's going to get Astral. Alacrity going to try and steal some mana away. That'll be it. The rotation from RR doesn't really amount to anything.
You could say the same about the time wasted here by Boom. Yeah, they do focus all the resources down. Nothing is lost. I think the big factor here is that Mikado is getting free farm up top. So while everyone is down bot, you've got this Void Spirit who's clearing out that top jungle. He is under wards. RR hasn't been able to punish that. And they are really committing this time to try to find a Spectre now, but it's just not paying off. You want to safely take Dreamwhistle. I'd say expend the smoke. You would like to initiate with Hustler. You can't target the Tusk. Tusk just snowballs, as we saw last time around. You're going to need to jump someone else, and you need better forward vision. Right now, RR's vision's all on their side of the map. Doesn't help when they try to dip into that enemy jungle.
On the brighter side of things, it seems all these gank attempts have made it so Dreamwhistle has fallen behind in net worth. He's currently sitting at 3.5k and he's actually behind the troll. So we did see earlier on Drew was having a very, very rough time up against that Timber. Drew has caught up and it only makes sense, right? The troll does have a much better time in the jungle than, say, a Spectre. And so you do at least have Dreamwhistle, who's going to be a bit slow to recover on this hero in comparison to Drew on the troll, and perhaps that could be the opening RR is looking for.
For sure, this does mean Boom has to kind of stall the game out for Dreamwhistle, but you know, he's not completely shut out. I'd say within 300-400 range of Drew is not too terrible of a spot for his Spectre. It does take a while for his jungling to kick in, and the only thing that does make that a bit bearable is the Spectral Dagger to go through the camps a bit faster if you time it right. That's really going to be it for Boom. The rest of their team has been playing quite nicely together. I think they have been applying the pressure across the map quite nicely. They should maybe look to try and clear that tier 2 up top. I think if they actually got that objective earlier on, that would have given them a much bigger advantage, a lot more breathing room here. Instead, you do see FBZ having to focus on that bot tier 1. There's just not as much presence for a Timbersaw there, right? The RR is not going to be feeling threatened when the Timbersaw is just playing around that tier 1 area. If he was dipping between the tier 1, tier 2, that could be a temptation for RR, but so far, really nothing to kind of force that movement out. And this does mean while Boom is farming up, RR is really accelerating Drew. You know, as you mentioned, he's already ahead. He is going to pick up his Diffusal Blade fairly soon, and that will allow him to really start to apply some more pressure in fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he's third in net worth. In fact, make it second. He overtakes his own OD. And this is going to be a concern for Boom, because there is a storm coming very, very soon. Especially once that Diffusal Blade comes up, you probably imagine RR do go for a smoke attempt. You do have the Force Staff now as well. on Alacrity, and in fact, the smoke is here upon us as we speak. Nuts and Alacrity, they do rotate down bot. They're trying to bait out with KYXY. They're not really falling for the bait so far as they've moved to mid. They want that T1 tower. And perhaps RR, they may need to just back off and defend the T1 and take that team fight. They do have Sanity, they do have Black Hole. Alacrity jumps in, but he gets Prince back. He does Astral straight away, however, he will stick around as KYXY now. Will move in, but there's no real setup to hold anyone down. Hustler did not have the charge available. And Boom should be pretty satisfied with all those rotations coming in. It looks like they'll just kind of sit back and get back to farming.
They already took that tier 2 up top, so they've already got that control in the jungle, even with that tier 1 standing down mid. RR has bled off a lot of map space here, at least in the top lane, so the jungle's not going to be all too safe beyond the areas near that mid tier 1. Boom is still going to be very happy even if they don't really find that tier 1 mid. They force the rotations out once more. Dreamocell still has all the space in the world, and they're wasting RR's time quite well.
That they are. Nuts gonna get spotted and glimpsed back by Kescu. The nice disruption to avoid the glimpse, but it will not matter. SBC will be there. That'll be a very easy kill. Just a support shadow demon though. Not too big of a deal.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And still, we only have a less than 1k net worth lead. It has been a little bit up and down for both sides, and RR do take it back their way. Meanwhile, Boom, are they setting up for mid again? It'll be FBZ on the front line, trying to get that creep wave slowly siege away, but Hustler is going to go for a charge. Again, it won't lead to anything. It's just a threatening kind of presence. And both teams continue to just basically avoid each other.
This does favor Boom a lot more when you're playing a slow game like this. Like, RR does maintain a slight net worth lead. With their kind of draft, they want to be far more ahead at this point. They come online fast. The Spectre is basically not going to be contributing to these fights. RR is trying to play a long game up against a Spec. That just doesn't sound like a great idea. Like, Dreamocell's going to be slowly working towards that radius. And once that's up, you can at least press R and have much more presence in these fights. You have the defusal up on Drew. This is the moment when he can wreck face without worrying about that.
Well, they're going to smoke up on Boom. They run straight into Drew, but Static Storm and Kinetic Field will not lock him in. This is a massive opening now for RR, and they are trying to get in range. Hustler, he was going for a charge. He does cancel it off, but they still have the mid defense to go for. Boom, they haven't backed off yet.
They really want they just want control there. And they just want to be able to take over that jungle. You do see RR trying to do the same thing on the tier 2 bot. They have the Enigma, so that this should theoretically go decently fast as well. But I don't think Boom is actually going to be too upset.
Well, it seems as though RR believe if they take this Radiant jungle away, they'll slow down the Spectre even more, which is perfectly fine. In fact, never mind that for a moment. Hustler going for a charge. Aether Remnant going to lock in Nuts. Shards will connect on Alacrity, but there's no follow-up to it. And that'll be it. Nobody wants to pull the trigger. The tier 1 mid goes down for Boom, so they're more than happy with that. The tier 2 bot remains standing, and perhaps now they go for a fight as Boom is still moving forward, but they just go ahead and try and take the shrine, or the outpost I should say. And RR, they know it's a bait, they will not go forward for it. And it kind of begs the question, at what point for RR do you think they start going in? In fact, hold that thought, because Nuts is going to get turned from his up. He does get a disruption, but it's not going to matter. He is almost certainly going to die. It'll be another easy pause 5 pickup. More importantly, they even find the dominated creep from KYXY, which is actually, funnily enough, worth more gold than the Shadow Demon was.
Oh yeah. They tried to charge Mikado, but don't really manage to do anything, and it's starting to get pretty bad for RR, I want to say. Like, Drew is at the point where he's strong, but you take a look at the itemization of FBZ. on that Timbersaw. He already has the Sanj up, is working straight into a Heaven's Halberd. Then you lose a lot of damage from your Troll and from your OD. Neither one is going for that early BKB queued up. Except, well, Drew is trying to build that first. But even then, you can just basically disarm Alacrity and he does nothing in these fights. So you are losing a window here for RR.
Nathan are going to latch onto that OD. They are going to be there to try and defend this bot lane, as there is going to be a charge from Hustler onto Makoto. He will just astral step away.
Invisibility.
And then the game of cat and mouse continues between these two. I believe RR are just waiting for the BKB on Drew before they do get going. Maybe even the Aghanim Scepter on Alacrity, but you are playing a very long waiting game. Like, you look at Dreamer's Soul, he has a Sacred Relic up, and although it's not going to be the greatest Radiance timing that we've ever seen, it's still going to have a very, very large effect on this game.
Sure. Like, it's still going to come out around 20, 21, 22 minutes in, and we haven't seen him press Haunt. We haven't even seen the effect the Haunt would have. He's just going to wait until he has that Radiance up before committing it. And then you're going to have Radiance burn on all these heroes. You have a missed chance that the Troll has to worry about, that the OD has to worry about now as well. So there's a lot that happen for Boom.
FBZ going to get charged. We might have to see a fight. Their charge will connect, but Heidi's going to really surround Makoto. Kind of jumps into the storm, but it's his own storm anyway. Has anyone died yet? It is going to be Hustler. And now the Black Hole Gateway play. He whips everything. Dream it on. He was in the astral imprisonment. They do still find the Spectre, but now Nunsco is down on the Shadow Demon. Hyde also to lose his own life. Good like that. Immediately on the Spirit Breaker, but does it need anything for RR? They keep going. Drew is about to fall on the Troll, and he does. They kind of overextended. Now the Boom tackle KYXY within vision of Kesku. Kinetic Field will hold him in. And it's a very, very messy team fight for both sides, but RR commit basically everything and don't really find what they really want.
They got the Spectre, RR, like that's one thing, but they trade so much weight that you'd be hard pressed to say that's worthwhile. They bought
that.
Oh god.
That's a dieback on the Spirit Breaker.
They invest so much in trying to win that fight out, they still lose in the end. They find that Spectre kill, great. You lost way too much in exchange. I think they've got to really think about how their engagements go. They threw the Black Hole pretty early. They had to throw it out without catching the ideal heroes that do have ways of interrupting that. We mentioned that would be an issue. And the thing for RR is perhaps to wait out for something like a Blink to come out, although nuts.
Should be dead. Just trying to take the dead lane farm. I just thought he was probably going to die. And the thing was as well with that last team fight, they had an opportunity a couple minutes ago when Static Storm was down. They didn't take it, and we assumed it was because they wanted the Aghanim Scepter and BKB, respectively on the OD and Troll, but they still fought without those items anyway. Except they waited for Static Storm to come up first, which...
Yeah.
You could really kind of make the argument, like, why wouldn't you have done it while the Static Storm was down? Maybe they didn't have the opportunity, maybe they didn't find what they wanted. But I suppose if you didn't, you'd rather just wait for at least the BKB on Drew. In fact, speaking of, he does get jumped. Hustler is going to charge in onto the Timbersaw. But that is not the target you can really afford to try and take down. And FBZ is just going to stand his ground, go after that bot tier 1 tower, and easily take it.
You've got a lot of items coming out now for Boom from that down period as well. RR kind of missing out in that window of opportunity now. You've got the Halberd up on FBZ, so your Troll and your OD aren't going to be as scary, not at least until the BKB start flying out, but even then he can preemptively cast that, so it's still going to be an issue for either hero on RR side. You've got the Radiance up in Dream Cell. He didn't have that in the last fight, and we thought that we're going to wait on the Haunt until it's up. Well, Haunt's back up, Radiance is up. I think Boom is going to be looking to force the issue out now.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. They definitely could. Dreamstar won't mind. I mean, he's just freely farming. Drew, he does finally get the BKB up, however. So now, RR, they do smoke up. Now, this, I think, is the right way to play it. RR, they're going to start moving in. Makoto may break the smoke. Hustler, can you get a charge off in time? He doesn't see Makoto. Instead, they go on to Hyde, but he snowballs. They do get a courier from Makoto, which is nice. They find Hyde. It's not going to be the real priority target they would have loved to find in that situation, but Hustler's still chasing. If he gets Makoto, it would be huge. They do scan out. They will not really get vision on Makoto, but it looks like they have found, Nuts actually getting caught out on the Shadow Demon. He was trying to scout ahead. Now Hustler moves in, Alacrity also there. Hustler, who are you charging? He'll go after the disruptor first. Try to get rid of that Static Storm, but they ignore him. Now Hustler falling low on the Horde does come in from the Spectre. They do lose Hustler. Haunted, Glimpse, Static Storm, all being thrown onto the OD. Alacrity does die. K1X way, he has Black Hole, but he has no help around. He may commit it anyway, and he does. With the Midnight Hopper, High catches it immediately, and now Nuts, he'll go down as well. It's a dieback on the Shadow Demon. And this is not good news, and Kezcute, he is very, very happy. Ecstatic, to quote him specifically.
It's just Boom finding all the ways to turn that rotation around on RR. You saw that smoke, they killed Hyde off immediately, they kept trying to chase a very slippery Void Spirit in Kato. And they were really trying to make something happen with that BKB. In that entire fight, Drew didn't have the opportunity to even pop it. He has this BKB they tried to fight with, doesn't use it, give a lot of kills to the wave of Boom, and Boom just managed to go straight to the Roche.
Why not? You know it's a free Roshan. It's a huge win for Boom. They now have that 5K network lead to Boom. And while this Roshan's going on, RR just can't capitalize in any way. All they can do is farm this triangle area. And Boom, they will just continue to take everything off the map. You look at Makoto, Orchid Yule's up, top of the net worth board. He is followed by Drew, but you saw that last team fight. Unless Drew's teammates can connect everything, it doesn't matter. In fact, Makoto, 8th remnant onto Drew. They're going to make the chase now. Hustler, unfortunately, the charge doesn't matter. Nether Strike will be cancelled due to the Orchid of Makoto. And that's a real shame, because you would have loved to get that kill. They won't have the opportunity. At least they did buy time for Alacrity to finish off that Aghanim Scepter, and he may need it now. Makoto is jumping in with the Yule, with the Ink Remnant. They will all connect, and Makoto does manage to pick up Alacrity. Like it's FBD who does get the kill confirmed, and now Nuts, the poor Shadow Demon, always getting caught in these positions, will have to go down. He will die with his brother. These ancient creeps are currently being more threatening than the actual side of RR to Boom. They dealt a lot of damage to Kezcute there with the Disruptor, but he will survive.
You know, we were talking about what RR had to do. You were asking whether or not they had to wait for that Ags and the BKB. They've had them now. They have the Ags. They have the BKB. They're being killed with those items. RR has to make this investment work. Drew.
He tried the TB, and I believe Kezcute got the glimpse off, and he did. Now they'll lose the troll. Have they found anyone else? FBZ? He's not chasing anyone. He's just going forward. He wants to go through the mid lane. The rest of the team says, no, we're going through bot. There is still a tier 2 tower outstanding. And unfortunately for Drew, it's been about 6-7 minutes since he's had that BKB. He hasn't used it once. It's still on a 10-second charge.
That always bugs me. When you see a hero that farms that BKB as the second priority or even third priority, and they don't use it in a very short time span after they pick it up, you start to question whether or not they should have gone for a farming item, because it does nothing for you when you're not fighting. And it is a bit of a wasted investment from RR. I would like to see them try to go aggressive again. They are kind of clumping up. Again, you have to make use of this Ags from Alacrity. This is the tendency for a lot of ODs. When they have that Axe, they start playing aggressive. It's just RR don't really have the space to play it. They don't have control on the map. And every single time they try, they always get the heroes they don't want to get. Like, it's either Hyde, which they kill off and Boom just back off, or they jump Mikado, who just escapes.
Would you agree as well that the initiation just doesn't seem to be there from RR? Because every time they rely on Hustler to get the charge off, it's always avoided. Like either the Void Spirit, goes into his portals, or the Tusk snowballs or something like that. And it just seems like they never really have the initiation for someone like KYXY to follow up on. They may have their chance now, as Boom have shown themselves. They are going to go up, almost going down the gun into the save, and now FBZ. He'd be an amazing kill, but the Sonic Storm will be dropped. BKB's finally caught by the Troll of Drew. Who are you going to hit? Saturdays is there, nuts. He'll drop. They do lose Huffer as well. Respect to bring us on. That'll be a big one. That was just the Aegis as the Lackley does lose his life in KYXY. He's also gone. Hyde finally goes down on the Tusk, but it's only support kills here for the side of RR. And FBZ will lead the fight with an ultra kill on the Timbersaw. They just couldn't find anyone to hold down.
RR, if you notice, Drew was standing in the middle there. He BKB'd after being disarmed. So he was in the static storm, he got disarmed, he BKB'd after the fact, and he couldn't do anything. First BKB charge, nothing happening for the Troll. They bled a lot there. At the least for RR, they've still got the black hole under Enigma, so if they did want to group up, try to fight again, they're gonna have that tool. But you've got a lot of stuff to worry about from Boom. You've got to catch a lot of heroes in that black hole to not be cancelled out. That's always going to be hard because Hyde is going to be standing back as much as possible. Kezcute's going to be standing back as much as possible. You don't have any way of blocking those spell usages from Boom just yet. KYXY is saving up for the BKB. They don't lose as many objectives as you think. You know, they only lose their melee racks down mid, so there is still a lot of room for RR to kind of play around, but they're 16k behind. You take a look at Dreamocell is working towards that Basher into the Abyssal first, so he wants to fight. He's got his level 20 talent, plus 500 HP. Spectre is starting to look like a bit of a veritable tank, and every single point of damage you do to that Spectre will bounce back to you.
Not to mention, it makes it even harder for KYXY to get the black hole off. Like, he's trying to go for a BKB, but when you've got that Abyssal that's coming out of Dreamocell, I don't know if the BKB is going to matter anymore. In fact, that last team fight, we didn't even see the black hole come out. You almost start to wonder, would it be better to just have something like a blink? Just so he could really sneak his way into the team fight and get a big black hole that he needs. Because when you don't see it come out, RR are just kind of struggling to actually lock anybody down. And that's the story of every single team fight we've seen so far. They just can't hit anybody because everybody's just too mobile.
That's something with KYXY that I'm kind of questioning. He saved up for Guardian Greaves, as you tend to see. I think this is actually a game where you could have stopped at the mech and saved up for your blink. I think you really just needed that for your team. They just don't have the hardest lockdown here to deal with Mikado, to deal with basically anyone. Like, you know, FBZ is going to be zipping in and out just fine. Mikado, we've seen multiple times. Nothing is keeping him in place. You just don't have the tools on our side except for that blink black hole. So would have liked to actually see it earlier. At this stage of the game though, I mean, he's already partway through the BKB. You might as well go all in and finish it, but you see that Bash already up in Dream himself, inching closer towards that Abyssal, so the value of that item.
Yeah, that's a real concern. Yeah, Bash is on the courier, coming to Dreamocell now. And if you are Boom, like, you'll just happily wait for the full Abyssal. Dreamocell's already at the top of the network court. He's farming like a madman with that Radiance up and has the Mad Drop as well. Not to mention, Roshan will probably be up around the same time you're very close to that Abyssal, if not already having it. So having the Abyssal plus the Aegis into the next team fight for Dreamocell, I don't see how RR could possibly fight into it.
So, they can't. They're gonna need to basically have the biggest black hole, like catching literally everyone on Boom for it to really work out, or at least 3 heroes. Get a 3-man black hole, then you might be able to find a couple of pickoffs that could work for RR. It's just so much riding on the back of KYXY, and getting a 3-man black hole without the blink, I'd wager is near impossible. You know, you're not gonna be allowed to just walk up and get that done, even with a BKB. So, RR, their options are severely limited. I'd say, we were talking about the Roche timing. They need to get a ward out on Roche. They can't allow that objective to go for free. They do have ways of playing in that tight area. They've got the Santis Eclipse and the Black Hole. Those are right there. Instead, they smoke up right now. They're gonna try to find that pick off anyway.
Well, they might find Hyde. Hyde does get Astral. Should be a nice easy kill. Don't get the slow ball off, right? He's rotating in actually high. He may just be bait right now. So he does go down, but they may not care about chemistry. He's gone through bars and trusted on the proto, jumps in, gets the silence off, and now he's dead. The black hole is only called to support Disruptor, and that is not going to be enough. They are starting to melt on the side of RR. The buyback's flying up, it doesn't matter. They can't get their time, or maybe they can through. He's man fighting everyone by himself, but it really doesn't matter. Sanity's dropped, but he had no stats. He did no damage. And that's the GG. They've had enough. They've seen enough, and I think we all have. RR, they looked good at the start of the game. It looked like they were finding the farm. It looked like they were finding the momentum, but Boom just held, just farmed, and had faith in their Spectre to get there. Of course, Makoto was playing like a god on the Void Spirit, as he always does, and FBZ. I mean, what can I say about the man, John? He's a fantastic offlane player.